Hey guys, welcome back. This is Drew Garage. I'm Davis, and we're going to be continuing on my Porsche today. So last couple of videos, we've been tearing apart my 2016 Porsche Cayenne that I bought at an auction. This car was only $5,600, so definitely probably the cheapest Porsche Cayenne on the market. I mean, these things go for like 20 grand, so a pretty good deal on my side, except we found a couple problems. So mainly cylinder 4 has a chipped valve, and ooh, there, yep, that's pretty bad. I don't know if you guys can see that, but ooh, that is, I think, one of the exhaust valves. They could be due for a lot of different reasons. I ruled out a timing issue. It was probably just like a lot of heat over time and carbon deposits just messing it up, fatiguing it and cracking. The second issue was the injector harness for cylinder 5. It got a little smushed. So you can see right there, last time someone installed the intake manifold, it just got pinched right here on the top rail. And that was enough to cause a short in the cylinder 5 injector harness, so it wasn't firing on 2 cylinders. So regardless, with the valve needing replacing, I have to pull the motor. This is a Volkswagen VR6 engine, so it's actually a V6, but has a single cylinder head. The cylinders are just off by a little bit of degree. I don't even know the exact number, but it's technically a V6, even though it looks like a inline 6, or even smaller than that. It's a small form factor, small package. Normal inline 6s are much longer. Anyways, I got a lot done a little bit off camera this morning. I went ahead and pulled the power steering pump. It's actually up and out of the way right here. I'll just quickly go over kind of order of operation for some of the work that I did this morning. So I have to say, perfect morning. You know, Saturday morning, just listening to music, wrenching on the Porsche, got some coffee, like awesome. Love this. So I got the pulley off. So you just have to pull this pulley. It's a, I think, T45. Yep, T45. Just get a screwdriver through there, just unbolt the pulley, and then on the actual guy here, it bolts in with a couple of M10 triple square bolts, 3 of them, just through the front, and one on the back actually. You have to reach under there. It sits below the AC compressor, and you actually need to take the power steering pump off first to get the AC compressor unbolted, and then the AC compressor is just 3 triple square M10, so just right here. There's one that sits right here, and then the other one is on the front, on the bottom, blocked by the power steering pump. So I have all this room now to pull the AC compressor off. The bracket that holds the accessories can remain on the car, to my understanding. There's another wiring harness. It's all connected to this, but it routes down and under. There's a sensor or something on the bottom of the oil pan. See, that's one problem. I keep dropping my tools into the oil buckets. It really sucks. I even dropped my flashlight in there. I had to clean it off. Yeah, just stay organized, guys. It's tough out there. So anyways, wiring harness at the bottom, there's a sensor. It comes up to this guy. I'm not exactly sure what it does. It has a heat shield. Goes up to the side of the block. That is disconnected right here. And there's another part of the harness that sneaks down over here. Look at that, I just dropped another thing. Dang it. But the other wire goes to the starter just on there. So disconnected the starter, disconnected that sensor, disconnected the bottom sensor, and then I was able to pull it up through this area and just drape it over the side. I did some soul searching on the oil cooler here because it looks like it's, bolted on, and you might expect you need to unbolt it to remove the motor. But as far as I can tell, if I just disconnect the oil cooler lines, like for example, this one could have actually just stayed connected, but the oil cooler section itself, this part goes to the engine. This can stay. If this is connected to the engine, it can stay. And then one of the lines, I think, comes up to the oil cooler here, to the radiator. So as long as I just disconnect the lines, it should be able to come up and out. As far as I can tell, past just some, minor ground wires, I think there's a couple grounds down here I might be able to access from the top side or maybe the bottom. I think this side is done. And don't quote me on it. Anytime I pull a motor, there's always something that snags me up. So one of the big questions is all this junk on the back of the motor, like, there's a bracket right there that definitely needs to be unbolted. That guy holds this. Or I guess technically I can just undo this plastic clip and then get the wire harness out of the way. But there's some other wiring. Yeah, there's the connector there. So back of the motor, I think there's some wiring and grounds I need to disconnect. There's a lot of water pipes that come off this side and the back. I'm hoping it's not exactly connected. My next order, the business, is disconnecting this. I think that's another coolant hose. I think I'm not going to disturb the seal here. I'm just going to take the barb off. It's probably my safest bet. And I can see a couple other wires, power wire to the starter, but then I'm going to be working on the exhaust here. So pulling off these, I've been soaking them in liquid wrench. This stuff I watch a lot of Project Farm. I would definitely recommend that you guys do as well. I get a lot of good recommendations on parts and tools and consumables. Liquid wrench supposedly worked really well. So these looked pretty rusty and they sit in a lot of heat. So it's definitely a huge risk for snapping these or just stripping them. So I soaked them overnight, sprayed them multiple times. So we'll see how those come out, as well as these guys. But with that, I'm gonna start just pulling the exhaust manifolds off. I think that's kind of just my next move. That'll give me more access to the starter. I can just check the back of the cylinder head real quick as well, just make sure everything's off that. But yeah, we're getting so close to being able to pull this engine, and I can start just refreshing everything. When the motor's out, I'll have a lot more room to just like de-pin these and replace all the coil connectors because they're all damaged. Again, I can fix that injector 5 cable. I guess all these injector wires can just be replaced. I'll just cut them and splice them with some splice connectors. Probably won't solder them. Let me know in the comments what you guys think as far as the repair for those. I believe it's the common belief now that solder joints, over time, heat, vibration, they'll crack, and they're not going to be a secure long-term fix. So I believe a tube, or I forget what they're called, just like normal crimp sleeves, not just like these kind here. I have a couple of examples. So these guys was the first thing that came to my mind. I mean, this is basically what I'm looking for. They're really small. These ones are 22 to 16 gauge. So this would probably work, and then you heat shrink them, but they're really bulky. So I bought some uninsulated ones, and I'm gonna put my own heat shrink over them. They're smaller, and I think should work better. They're closer to what a OE manufacturer would use to splice in and fix harness. I mean, I guess the actual fix would be replacing this whole thing, especially since we got some of this going on. I definitely need to clean it up and re-lume some of this stuff. Got to fix that, but I mean, I don't even want to imagine how expensive one of these wiring harnesses are. I don't even think they make them. So that's another thing, but that would be a fix. I can get rid of all the broken ignition coil connectors. I can fix that injector wiring, but yeah, I cringe to think at how expensive all that would be. Anyways, I'm gonna get the camera set up, and we are going to go ahead and start moving these guys. Hopefully they come off easy after sitting with liquid wrench. All right, guys, let's see how easy these are to break loose. Oh yeah, that was easy. Come on, get on there. Yep, these are definitely not too bad. Oh yeah, dude, that liquid wrench worked. I should have kept one unlubricated as a test to see how hard it is to remove, but these are so easy, guys. I'm very happy with the results of that liquid wrench. Glad I started buying some. Cool. All right, well, let's see. These are going to be kind of the hard ones to get to, the ones that are under the manifold. I'm also just kind of going in blind. Yeah, I'm going to need a short 13 millimeter. Let me grab that. Need one of those like mid-length sockets because this is way too deep. And then, oh, they're 12 mil. This is way too deep and this is shallow. I checked and my impact socket is a little bit longer than the chrome shorty, so I'm going to just use that, see if I can reach it. All right. Yes, I can. Getting them out, going to be a little bit more of a struggle. But you know what? That's fine. Also, I think I'm just going to take off one at a time. I'm not even going to try to reach all these, you know, like that. I'll have way more room once this is removed. The bottom nuts, I believe, are a 16 millimeter. So we'll get that. And that's good. The head of the ratchet is touching the tube. They just really, God, didn't think about these. I'm going to get a longer socket. And you know what? If this doesn't come off, we got the torch. I don't want to break it out, but I might have to. Oh, that's another problem. I was tightening. Come on. Okay. I think I might need to move this oxygen sensor to reach that one. It is not cooperating. It's just bumping into it, and I don't want to mess up anything. This one also, that's too long. Might even need to get a ratchet wrench on these things. Is 16 not the right size? What the heck? Come on. Oh, maybe it's too... No. I was thinking maybe this is too shallow, but I don't believe it is. No. It must be too shallow. That fits just fine. But the long one is too short. I might have a 12 point or something that could fit. Oh, there we go. That was one. Let's see if I can just get a better bite on this one. No, the head of the wrench is just too big. Maybe I have a smaller head wrench or I just get the 16 mil. Yeah, this might work. Look at that, guys. All right, now I just got to remember righty tighty, lefty loosey. And this is the right way. Oh, Jesus. Breaking my freaking elbows. That's what I hate about working on cars sometimes. The amount of force it takes to get these off. It's just gonna wreck your arms. I had 2 surgeries this year on my elbows, so I gotta be careful. More leverage, the better. I might see if I can get this guy on here, my gear wrench. That'd be a lot better than having to use that ratcheting wrench. There we go, it fits on great. Yep, just ran my wrist right into the frame rail. But I broke them all loose, so that is all that matters. Yeah, I'm gonna need to get some electric tools on this, or just manhandle them. That's what I hate, is when the bolt feels very loose on the wrench, but by hand it's too hard. And these the threads aren't as clean as they should be, so they do get a little loose by the tool, but then I go to the hand and then I hit a rough spot in the thread. And I think I'm definitely through the woods with this one. I can just do this by hand here. There we are. First one out. And I should probably just get the ratchet wrench back on this one, but whatever. You know what? I probably made a mistake with that. Get off! It took my socket, guys. There we go. Yeah, just for safety, I'm gonna go back to this. I feel like I'll have more success. Or I guess just by hand, you know? Don't underestimate the hand torque sometimes, you know? I was just talking about how it's hard, but you gotta still have some faith. There we go. This one also is coming off just fine. Nice. Here we go. Next one. These are coming off easy. I do think I'm gonna have to remove these studs. I'm gonna double up these nuts and just walk them out. That'll probably be the best way, because we got fighting flanges here. We got, studs down this way, studs through here. So I might be able to flex it. It just depends on how tight the exhaust below is. But yeah, we will see. This one is a bit tough, just given the clearance. I don't want to ram my wrench into the rear of the header and can't take it off. That would be not good. This thing's definitely loose. There might be enough movement for me to pull it out without removing the studs, but we'll just cross that bridge once we get there. Maybe my 1/4-inch ratchet would be better fitted here. Less risk of losing or having the wrench ram into the back of it and getting stuck. It's coming. Just slow. So I don't like hand tools. I like electric tools, guys. Electric tools for the win. It really doesn't take a lot of force. It's just a little bit too tight for my hand. So when I get to the next one, I'll definitely get that 1/4-inch ratchet. All right, that's the last one I'm pulling off now. So let's see how lucky I am. Do I have to work on pulling these studs out? Oh no, I didn't get the last one. I'm dumb. Right there. Maybe I can use the electric ratchet on that one. Yep, that worked just fine. There we go. Okay, now let's see. Oh yeah, look at that, guys. Maybe. Oh no, my gasket fell. Dang it. There we go, metal gaskets. I would like to reuse these, but just for the sake of not, having to do this all again, I did buy new gaskets, so. Do got new exhaust manifold gaskets. Can you imagine, guys, just flipping these and just having twin turbos? That'd be awesome. Too bad they don't match up. So for the rear ones, I'm definitely going to go in with the hand ratchet. I don't want to mess up anything. The angles are even worse with this side, so I do not want to strip out anything. So pulling is better than pushing. You get more leverage. That was just my knuckle, guys, not the stud. Whew. This one, actually, I take it back. I might get my long one on, but we'll see. Yeah, I need a little bit more leverage for that. As long as I can get my socket on there nice and snug without risk of stripping it. There we go. That worked just great. I'm starting to see the starter, guys. All right. This one is going to be a fair bit tricky. This one's kind of in the weirdest spot. There we go. And this is much better. Okay, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. These are all coming off by hand. Liquid wrench doing its work, doing its job. Not sponsored, though. Not yet. Yeah. I don't really care about mixing or matching these. They'll all go together. This one just needs a little bit more coaxing with the wrench. Hardly any, though. It's really just getting hung up on the flange, Since it's not tightened down anymore, the flange is binding up with the threads. Just making it a bit tougher. There we go. There it is. All done on the bottom flange. So now, as I promised, I'm going to grab that 1/4-inch, and we're going to get the bottom ones. I mean, the top ones will come out just easy. They'll come out easy peasy. The top ones. Last top one. Here we go. There we go. Last top one. Now I just got to get the bottom ones. Can I get this one? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I got to break these first. I didn't even break the bottom ones. Let me do that just so I don't mess up anything. Now, is that going to be too long? A little bit. We're about to see if I can find these nuts. Yep, just fine. Let me get the other one. Oh yeah, that was easy. Not too bad. I read that these are copper nuts. I'm not sure. So they're kind of malleable. I think they're less prone to seizing. But we do got 2 different kinds of metal. I mean, unless the studs are also copper, I'm not sure. But I kind of like the idea of that. Copper will bend, but also makes me think there might be one-time use. But you know what? They'll be fine. They'll be fine, guys. All right, I can get the rear one by hand, and we only got the center bottom to take out. Then the manifold will come off, get access to the starter. We'll be able to start jamming on pulling the motor. I mentioned already, guys, that I hate hand tools. I'll use an electric tool any opportunity I get. But when you're forced to use a hand tool, I just hate it. especially when it's like really tight tolerances. You only got like a couple millimeter to move the wrench. That's why I get some high quality hand tools like this 1/4 inch ratchet is 120 teeth. My 3/8 ratchet, 120 teeth. I want as little working angle as possible because you know you're gonna get in those situations where you just do not have any room. Did that come out? Cool, I didn't drop it. All right, final manifold officially off. There we go, officially off. And I dropped that one into the coolant bucket as well. Just great. Wow, look at that, guys. We got them both off. And it's just drenched in liquid wrench under there. But that gives me a lot of access to bell housing bolts, stuff like that, as well as the starters. Starters right there. Work on pulling that off. Some of the rear wiring, get that off. It is coming along. All right, guys, had a little bit of a time skip. I got the Porsche up in the air. I did get most other things off the back of the engine, just some connectors and harness stuff and grounds and whatnot. I also did get, there's a main ground that connected over here. It was actually an 8mm Allen. Out of everything, I've been dealing with triple square M10s. I've been dealing with Torx T25, 27, 30. But just this one thing was a ground. I'm pretty sure someone lost the bolt or something and just replaced it. But anyways, I got the top of the starter bolt off, or I guess actually the bottom. The top is kind of hard to get to. Normally you would just easily be able to access it, but these two exhaust pipes have a bracket that's a bolt to the back of the engine or transmission, some part of it. And it's just so hard to get back there. Even from the bottom, I just don't have access. So I tried removing some stuff from the bottom. It's not working. I'm probably just gonna put it back on the ground and just get on top. I got my knee pad here just to work. But while I'm down there, I'm just gonna start taking out some of the bell housing bolts. I did get one of them. That's one of the starter bolts. Or no, that's the starter bolt. That's one of the bell housing. So I'm going to grab some wrenches here. I think they're gonna be 18 mil, not 17, but I'm gonna grab a couple different socket sizes and just take out as many as I could see. While I was down there, I spotted probably like 6 actually. There's 4 on one side, 2 on the bottom, and then I think there's only like 2 or 3 more on the other side, so we should actually be in pretty good shape as far as pulling the bell housing bolts out. I'm only gonna leave like 1 in just to make sure it's easy to get to and don't accidentally separate engine transmission before torque converter bolts are unbolted, so I really need to get that starter off, so I'm just working on that right now. All right, guys, just finished up. Got the, oh, one sec. Got to turn off that Kanye. Anyways, I got the starter bolts out. This was, I would have to say, probably one of the most difficult parts of this whole thing because they have a very elaborate bracket system for the cats. And as you can see, yeah, it is kind of a nest down there. I'm trying to make it as clear for you guys as possible. But the cat, see this is a bracket, goes to this guy here. There's a bolt, you need to take it out. Same with the rear, oops, right there. That guy has a bracket, connects there. I had to get that from the bottom of the engine, or I guess bottom of the car. And then this is one of the trickiest parts here. This right here, this whole thing, this is the starter wire. So this goes down and loops over to the starter terminal on the starter. And you can see this bracket right here. Yeah, as much as you can see that, 2 pins. It connects here and at the bottom, which connects to the starter. So you cannot get to the top starter bolt unless you remove that. And to remove that bracket, you need to remove the exhaust. And then once you remove the exhaust brackets, you have to finagle this up and off the terminals and through up out of the way. So in reverse order, once I get the motor back into place, I need to get this bell housing bolt in, which is one of the last remaining bell housing bolts holding this thing together. The bottom ones are off, but basically get this bracket on, get the starter bolted down, and then get the starter wire bracket down into place, and then bolt the cats to their brackets. So that being said, this should just come out like that. It's probably enough room to just pull this out. I don't know which way I'm going with it. Probably should have gone down or not. Okay, there we go. That's coming. Starter is officially out. Now, with that, we have direct access to the bell housing bolts, or I guess technically the flywheel. I will spin the motor around and gain access to those. I've seen I probably just need an extension that will come out over here just to zip them out. And then I got this bell housing bolt right here, and I believe that's it. Like, truly, this is out. That was one of them. Just double check at the bottom of that. Yeah, there's nothing there. I think they actually forgot to put this one back in at some point. I think the motor has been out because that one I believe should have something. And then just have to feel the top. I think there's supposed to be some remaining at the top. I took some out. There's one above this water filler neck, 2 more, 3rd at the bottom. So there's 4 on this side, 2 at the actual bottom of the motor. There's supposed to be 1 right there, I believe. And then that one. And yeah, we'll see. That might be it, but I'm gonna go ahead and get them torque converter bolts out. Need to spin over the motor here. So these are triple square, or I guess if you just take out the spark plugs, you might be able to turn this over by hand. I have most of them back in there right now, but don't know how easy you guys are gonna be able to see in there. It's kind of dark, but that is my access. So we're coming down to it. Once I get the torque converter bolts out, I'm just gonna finish the last bell housing. Then the only thing really holding this in is the motor mounts. And I will get the engine hoist out here, lift her up, and kind of just double check, make sure there's nothing else holding me up. But just get this AC compressor out of the way, and it'll just come up and out. All the water lines are disconnected, cooler lines disconnected, that I can tell. All the electrical connectors are off. Everything that I can get to from the rear is off. So everything back here is movable now. There's a couple things, I don't know. There's yeah, some of these wire, I found this one. This one right here is a wire harness bracket. Just need to pop off. Just a lot of things connect to the back of the motor. Whew. And then we'll be able to pull this baby out. All right, guys, I'm back. I got you off the tripod. I'm holding you in my own hands. But anyways, I'm getting the torque converter bolts off. They are a T55. So I had a couple of those. I had to get the right one. Porsche and their infinite knowledge and genius, I guess Volkswagen, I'm not sure. They put the bolt right next to the block. So there is almost no room at all to get on in there. Basically the bit itself makes contact with the side of the block. See how close that is? So it is very, very close. I mean, maybe I can remove that plastic bit, but I think it's just metal behind it. Regardless, I broke this loose. It is taking a combination of all these extensions all the way out here, but that broke it loose. I don't know how many there are. I don't know how many converter bolts there are, but I'm just going to be spinning it over by hand, taking them out one at a time, and then I'll have the torque converter bolts out, get that top bell housing, any remaining, and I'll get the engine hoist out. All right, everybody, I'm back. Sorry for jumping ahead so much. I've just been wanting to really knock this thing out, but as you can see, got the engine hoist up here, got it attached to the motor, so I tried to do it as best I can. 4 points of contact. This is on one of the fuel rail, bolts here, but it has tons of thread engagement, and it's not touching anything, bending anything. The only kind of suspect part for me is this right here. It is touching the cylinder head, but I think overall the point of contacts are good. It's supported equally on everything else. That's good. I'm just using the studs. I doubled up on the bolts so that I'm not going to mess up any of the stud threads. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start lifting. I took the motor mount bolts off. Got all the bell housing bolts. As far as I know, I got all of them. I got 1, 2, I think one of those acts is 1, so 3, and then over there I got 6. It's like 9, so quite a bit. And I felt all over, and the transmission is a lot lower on the motor than it appears, so you really have to get your hand deep under the cylinder head to reach them. So that's what I did. And so my plan is I'm going to start lifting up, pull out, and then maneuver it, swing the legs through over this direction, and I will probably just plop it right down on the ground here so I can start working on it. Basically just pull the cylinder head off and just inspect things. But I also went ahead and already broke loose all the cylinder head bolts. So these were triple square M12 cylinder head bolts. So I just got all of them. As I see it, once it's on the ground, it's not going to be as stable, so breaking them loose would be probably a little bit of a challenge. So I went ahead and did that. So let me set up the GoPro, or I guess my iPhone, and you guys will get a good look at this, and hopefully it goes smoothly. I'm sure there's something Porsche did on the rear of the motor, more clips or something. So I tried to get everything I could, but we're at the moment where I just need to get into it. All right, everyone, we are a go. Let's give this a shot. Yeah. All right. Alrighty. It is leaning, and there is coolant coming out. Oh, baby. Probably should have supported the transmission, And I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot of coolant and stuff coming out of this thing. Now this is where the real mess happens. But let's see. I think I got everything off the back, really. I'm just gonna keep going with it. That was AC compressor. Just hear everything peeing under the car. Well, that's good. Can't even turn this anymore. Whatever. Yeah, I'm basically just going to be lifting up and out at this point. I can't really have it come forward anymore. It just needs to clear the dealio. There's definitely a bracket back here that is hanging on for dear life. Yep, T30. I will relinquish that. I'm also on a time crunch, guys. I need to leave in like 15 minutes. Oh, T30, there we go. Get out of here. Yeesh, just let go, brother. All right, hopefully the last thing off this engine. I could have stood to remove the bracket off the rear that holds the main harness. I just removed them from the loom, but did not really do well. What the heck? What did I unbolt? There was something else I unbolted, I suppose. Oh, maybe there's just two. This is a big bracket with two. Normally there's only one. So close. Come on, just give it to me, please. Is this like randomly not a T30? What the heck? Oh, it's a T30. It's just not cooperating. Get my hands on the bracket and follow my fingers up. When you have no eyes on there, your hands become your eyes. You just gotta feel around until you get it, which I'm on it. Just getting it splined in. It's a major problem here. There we go, hopefully. Yes. I don't know if I mentioned this, but one of the good things about these T30 fasteners is once you break them loose, they're basically hand tight. You just don't need to really mess with the ratchet. Although as I say this one is tight, so whatever. Most of them you could just, remove by hand. The last one's really giving me the business. I imagine once I put everything back in here, I'm just gonna have to employ a system of freaking bungee cords to hold everything out of the way, because this thing has so many brackets on it just holding everything on, and they all need to go back in their place, and they like sitting where they're designed to be. So when you put the motor back in, all those things are going to be kind of sitting where the motor needs to be. Oh, and there goes that. That was definitely, I think, the last bracket. I can get my whole arm behind the motor. Okay, so now I'm just going to lift and pray, I guess. Yeah, I should have just removed this bracket, but oh well. Live and learn. It's kind of one of the last things, just holding up everything. And now that looks free. Not touching the radiator. Everything's coming out. Now kind of touching the radiator, but I'm not, like, it's just barely gracing it. I guess probably another piece of advice, remove the cowl, because stuff is going to want to get touched. We're almost out of here. We'll see how high this thing goes. Wow, crazy to see this thing without an engine in it. Hopefully this is cool. I'm gonna pause here and get a quick thumbnail. Now, to just ram this thing over here. Hopefully I have the ability to maneuver this thing kind of in the confines that I'm working with here. I actually might just do the opposite of how I brought it in, which is swing in this side. I'm getting a little stuck on some catch buckets, but not a problem. All right, this thing is squealing. Look at that, guys. All right, I think that will do it. I'm just gonna set her down here, all smooth like, and I think the ears of the motor mount will kind of support it. Might even be sitting on the engine hoist. I just don't want it tipping over and hitting the car. That'd kind of suck. Nice. Woo! Mission successful. Hell yeah, and now it's dripping coolant. I'm gonna need to definitely clean up around here. My God. Whew. All right, let me get you guys down from there and we'll just wrap up. Look at that, guys. 4:15, that's the time I gotta be out of here. Actually, like, physically leaving, so it's fine. I'm just take a quick shower and get on with it. For you guys, I think it's in December, but for us, it's like Thanksgiving time, so got some family stuff going on. Otherwise, I'd continue. I'd be tearing this thing down. But look at that, guys. We are all good. Torque converter's out. It was only 3 bolts. Yeah, some of this stuff really just gives you so much trouble. So like these are gonna have to be forced out of the way. This exhaust pipe definitely was interfering with the motor mount on that side. This is all turned around. Probably just remove that motor mount when I go to reinstall and get everything situated once I'm a bit lower. This guy right here, this bracket, had 2 T30 bolts. That's the last remaining part that held me up. But we got all these, coolant lines, everything on the rear. Huge pain. And then the harness, but look at that, guys. Look how much room I have to work on this thing now. I'll clean up the harness. I'll repair the wiring, repair the ignition coil connectors, just get everything all situated. AC compressor, I will probably bungee cord up and out of the way. That one is, I don't want to have to lose my AC refrigerant, so just left that on. Got some mopping to do under the car, but man, a lot of work just in a couple days on this Porsche. So there it is. That's the rear timing here. So we'll basically just be taking all this stuff off. The high pressure fuel pump went in right there. I believe also this sensor is probably what was causing the coolant light to come on. The coolant was all good. It's just, yeah. Anyways, we need to pull this off. I think this is some kind of vacuum pump. There's a vacuum system connected there. It's probably driven off something. But we need to separate everything on the rear, take the flywheel off, or flex plate, whatever it's called, the whole thing, and get at that timing, pull it off. Then I can finally remove the cams, remove the cylinder head, and replace that one little chip in the valve. And that's the biggest problem, because if it were just, the mic receiver fell off. If it were just the injector wire like this, which would be a clear issue, I wouldn't even have to do this. And if they put the timing on the front, I wouldn't have to do this either. But that is just the name of the game. You know, if you're flipping cars, just expect to have to do this work. And I'm very privileged to have my lift in my garage and everything. So, you know, thank you guys for supporting the channel and everything you do. I would appreciate it if you guys would join me as a member or a channel member, because you guys get early access to new videos. So if you want to see me tear into this thing and pull the cylinder head, take the valve out, clean all the valves, because these, I didn't really show it, but there's tons of carbon deposits in all the valves. You watch out right now if you join me as a member, and you get that perk of just watching videos early. But, you know, just watching the videos, subscribing, liking the videos, hitting the notification bell, all those, you know, get notified when I have a new video out. Definitely helps me. So again, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm very excited to move forward with the Porsche. Now that I have this done, this was kind of the biggest hurdle. You know, I've never worked on German cars before. So this was, you know, again, it all boils down to the same stuff, you know, just taking the accessories off, during the coolant, fluids, bell housing bolt, starter, torque converter bolts, stuff like that. So anyways, again, I really do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.